All right, good afternoon, cyber traders. Welcome on back here to close out our week officially now. I mean, I said that from the morning, but here we are now heading into the close this Friday, October 1st. Great to see all of our students and trial members alike, at least for those of us still sticking with us here at the end of the week. Great to see Bonnie, Norman, Brian. He says, crazy day indeed. I'll be sure to cover everything from A to Z in just a moment. Great to see Deb, William, Leda, Gary, V as always. Great to see everybody. And alongside them, alongside all of us live inside the trading room, twisting up my tongue here. Great to see all of us live on social media today. One more time on Facebook Live and YouTube. So, without further ado, let's hop into this crazy day, as Brian had kind of described it as. So, this stock BMRA is definitely one of the stocks that we are keeping more of a focus on throughout the morning into the afternoon. It's to say that the market ended up making a hell of a bounce back up, but that doesn't mean that we ended up seeing great volatility with it. So, of course, there were some stocks that ended up moving up with the market, some familiar names on the gainer side right now, but they weren't really making like that big of a stride or, as big of a, as fast or momentum based of a pop as we would want to take. So we were kind of subjected to just kind of the few that were on the morning watch list today, the BMRA, the PALT. We had a couple of crypto stocks that did all right. We'll talk about crypto in a bit, actually. Ride actually threw us for a big loop, but altogether, this has been like a really crazy day. I was down pretty early on in the morning. I was like down a tiny bit. Then I ended up losing more and more. I was down like 150 heading into like 11 o'clock Eastern time. And at that point, it's like, I know I'm going to make the money back, or at least I feel very confident within my ability to. It's not to say it's like always where I do, but I need to have confidence before I jump into any trade, and especially to try and bounce back. Just because I'm down on the morning doesn't mean I'm just going to walk away. And plus, I'm kind of paid here to be here all throughout the day. So unfortunately, just, this is my passion. I'm going to continue to trade, right? And it's going to be on smaller position sizes, perhaps grind my way back up. And then if there's some better setups, then I'll try and jump in on more shares. So this BMRA stock, I ended up making my money back on this stock here, the BMRA. Let me zoom back out on the 1 minute chart at least. There we go. You can see the stock's been really choppy, at least throughout most of the day. But it ended up bouncing back down pretty nicely towards right around 560, bounced back up. And we ended up catching a couple of nice slingshots myself, Jeffrey H, live inside our trading room, a couple of others, of course, as well. I forgot just from earlier in the morning, but ended up making some nice pops, at least heading into the afternoon from 6. Ended up breaking above the opening bell print, that yellow line off of 625. And then from there, we were hoping for a lot more. So it's to say we scaled out. We could have done better on the trade. We ended up getting back in, and then we ended up getting a little bit more, but not nearly as much as we wanted. Hey, it's to say this, for as much down as I was on the morning, I ended up making it back and then some. I'm excited to trade the market close here. I mean, I'm doing the whole afternoon for you folks here in the Cyber Group room. I'll be on from 3 to 4 straight through. Maybe sans a water break, but nonetheless, I'm excited to see where the stock could take us here heading into the close. Albeit it's dropping back down right now, it hasn't like completely tanked yet, so I'm not completely writing this stock off just yet. Allow me just to switch to the daily chart here. I tripped myself up early in the morning by doing that. But yeah, I mean, this stock has had its pops and drops just across the same day or within the course of a couple of days. So certainly not a swing trade, at least not in my opinion. Hell, watch, this will be the next CEI. But, nonetheless, that's not my intent here heading into the close. These are all day trade call outs, for the most part. So BMRA, I'll put on our watch list here for the afternoon, semi-reluctantly, but we'll see. It has good liquidity on the books, so that's what I do like about it. All right, so I'll tell you what, BMRA was really the one that I made my money back on. There were a couple of others that did all right. PALT was a nightmare. Ride ended up tripping us up. That was on the gainer side to start the day. That ended up being down as much as 17, 18%, across the late morning heading into the afternoon. Now it's down like 15, you can see on the loser side. But I'll tell you what, for anyone here that is interested in crypto, I'll get it out the way right now, because we ended up seeing a continued push up on Bitcoin throughout the morning. We ended up seeing a couple of the crypto mining stocks from our watch list make a nice move up. At first, actually, I want to say we ended up seeing a small dip at first, and Riot ended up being a nice short. So that was on our watch list as well. But BTBT, the stock that ended up making a nice slingshot, this one ended up moving with the markets, the major indices all together. But Bitcoin related stock ended up making a nice bounce today. And for what it's worth right now, I guess it just like kind of broke over 8 here. Could be interesting. We'll see what comes of it. But, a couple of these others we'll check out in just a moment. I want to just get to crypto first, then we'll kind of zip across the gainers and losers list. I normally do like the crypto here at the end. I'll just kind of knock it out right now. So I'll tell you what, folks, next week I'll reset up this chart because I know there's a bunch of us interested on YouTube and Facebook Live. I get a couple of emails a week and I write back to you folks. It's to say that maybe like a month or two back, I had this chart up with a bunch of green arrows going over all my positions over the last year and a half, 2 years historically. I started talking about Bitcoin probably about like September time last year. So I was really jumping in back in April, May time, and then really by September, I felt confident enough to talk to you folks at least about it across this year and going into January of next. And so far, well, I've been reluctant here and there to add, and I'll show that chart once again. I'll re-add those lines and whatnot, those or arrows. But I'll tell you, I mean, last night I ended up buying, and it was pretty impulsive. But I want to go over why. So this is the Bitcoin chart. We got the 6 hour here. I see. So we have a big pop, obviously, over the last like 6 to 18 hours practically. But it's to say that, over the last 2 months, I've had a couple of like entries here and there that were pretty good, a couple entries that weren't so good. I didn't really know in full where it would be going. And then I kind of realized like last night I was on Twitter, like doing a little research, looking up some crypto guys on Twitter I follow. And it's to say that like you got to go back to your bread and butter. You got to go back to what you started to kind of follow this with to begin with. And that could be anything for you folks. If you started following back as early as I did or even earlier and followed other people, then hey, stick with those people. That's your bread and butter. So I want to bring something up here, because I ended up reading this back in late June. And I didn't mention this part as much to you folks, but I've been very bullish on Bitcoin based off of this gentleman here on Twitter and many others. But this guy, Plan B, 100 trillion USD. I mean, this guy has been on the money for so long. He has these giant advanced scientific calculated studies on his website. I don't need to push you to there, but it's to say back in late June, he was calling out the monthly closes. His worst case scenario for 2021, August 47,000 greater than, September greater than 43, October 63,000, November 98,000, December 135. Now, I'm not like, holding my breath waiting for each and every one of those prices, but let me show you this. I'm going to show you two things here. Then we'll go right from top to bottom here. So just probably boring about maybe 60% of us. And then for the 40% of us here, though, I know are interested otherwise, I want to show you this here. So that's based off the monthly closes. And this is all kind of skewed based off a log chart. But July, this would be August. So August close, you could see 47,100. Or no, that's that's August. Then September close, you can see the little C there on the top left of my chart. 43,824. I find that pretty interesting, folks. I mean, he's been on the money there for a little while, and keep in mind this was dated back June 20th. So it's for that reason that I kind of thought last night, well, hey, it's September 30th going into October 1st. And, I saw that he retweeted it, and October 63,000 close. You know what? I ended up jumping in right under 44,000 last night. It was at like 10 p.m. Eastern time. So jump back here and somewhere around here, I ended up getting in. Hourly chart, of course, but it was right before the pop, and then wake up this morning nonetheless, and nice move so far. So hopefully there's a lot more to come on this, and I think that there will be, just based off of the last thing I'll kind of bore you with here. Otherwise, for the 60% of us that don't have an interest in crypto, but it's to say otherwise, hey, Q4, pretty green historically. This is the monthly percent change: October, November, December. So I'm pretty interested. So that's our food for thought. I'm not even going to go into the other charts. I was thinking about doing that, but I'm not. So we're kind of going through time here right now. So I want to make sure we go from top to bottom, build up a nice list here for us heading into the close. So we'll see what else we got. BTBT is up, 11%, but after that little pop up there from 8, not a whole lot really happening so far. The SMTS trade. We ended up calling this trade out pretty early on once the market opened up, and then really more so as it began to squeeze up here. It ended up leading to a really nice trade. At the time as it squeezed up, I was looking for a support level off 250. I ended up jumping in at 255. I leaned into the trade. I didn't think that 250 would have been hit. I thought it would have been a bounce from above 250, and that's what happened. But I could have had a better entry, and then when it squeezed up, I could have had a way better exit. I was, following the BMRA trade at the time, and I was like doing well on that stock. And as I was in this, I ended up blowing like most of the trade. I ended up only getting 5 cents on this trade from 255. So, better to get the money than to lose the money and then lose, even more than what you started off with. But, nonetheless, this stock right now making these little pops, not a whole lot happening here for right now. So I'm going to pass on this. All right, well, this is something I won't pass on, the PED trade. All right, so just to conserve time, folks, like I was doing from the morning, I ended up going through Benzinga Pro, getting news for us, and like I normally do here, I would, but I'll kind of just like cut that through. And right now, this stock's looking pretty good. The only issue though is that this thing hasn't even tested 2 yet, so that's to say that if it does test 2, look to see for a pop and drop at first, because there hasn't been any sort of buying interest off that price just yet. So just be a little mindful of that. But we'll keep it going. Kind of skip the AVIR. That thing's all over the place. I just know it, pretty quick. QTNT, we'll kind of pass on this too. They're like pretty slow, lackluster. All right. It's a Friday as well. So as bullish as I am on that PED trade, and maybe the BMRA trade, if that can get a little bounce, we're gonna kind of just cherry pick and see what else we can get here. This is one that chopped me up here, the BITF. So this is one that kind of contributed to my losses from the morning. So I was watching Bitcoin, I was watching this, I was watching the market all together, and hey, it ended up moving up. But man, this is like not the type of like day trade that I personally like. We're not trying to stay in a stock across the whole day, or at least like a few hours. We're trying to stay in a stock for maybe like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, maybe the most, and like at least through the morning. By the time it begins to settle in its trend at like 10:15, 10:30, maybe a little bit after. But yeah, this thing chopped me up. I was looking for the bounce early on, and then it never gave it to me, and then it finally started to like crawl up here. Yeah, right now, kind of alongside the BTCM, BTBT trade, like all the crypto miners out there, not really too interested in this one so far. So Blue Apron keeps going up. Again, we were talking about this, not as if I'm in this as a swing trade, but I had mentioned it's like more of a swing trade than a day trade perhaps here, just given the stock is like a potential short squeeze candidate. The stock's been getting crushed over time and reverse stock split like over like the last, I don't know how many years, but you could just see. So that's how you can pretty much tell, like whenever a stock's been split, at least on TradeStation, it was never valued at 140. That was never like the IPO price, but over time, based off the reverse splits, that's kind of like how it's factored down to, watered down to. But for right now, I mean, the stock's been on a nice tear, and yeah, getting a little squeeze here. So for right now, the stock doesn't really show too many big iceberg orders on it, and I actually like that, at least as far as like seeing no order on the ask, because the stock's still trading about like 6, 7, 8,000 shares per minute. So if it keeps at that pace, it can really begin to move up pretty nicely. So the APRN trade we'll put on our watch list here as well, alongside the PED, the BMRA. Kind of just skim through here. I got Penn National Gaming. So I'll show you a couple of stocks that like moved up with the market. Pandemic stocks for the most part, like the Penn National Gaming trade, the casino stocks, entertainment stocks. This one's too expensive though, so we normally wouldn't trade this. I wasn't going to call it out, but hey, made a really nice move, right? So, this could be like a good side list stock, or, a stock otherwise that you might want to do an options trade on, or, swing trade on perhaps. What else do we have? Play trade, Dave and Buster's. Pretty familiar with this one. Also, like practically the same move as Penn. Hudson Mining stock, I didn't realize that. So that ended up making a nice bounce up. Actually, probably made one of the better bounces. I ended up missing that one at least. So that's pretty unfortunate. All right, so I think that just about does it on the gainer side, folks. I don't really see much else here that looks as familiar of a name or as interesting, really. Maybe TMC. Right at the horn there before I hopped over to the losers list. Just switched over. I'm like, oh yeah, TMC. So I thought I thought that got called out earlier, and it did. Ended up making a really nice pop after the market opened up from 490 up over 5, ran up towards the high of 530. And for right now, making a nice move back up. All right, there we go. Cool. So we'll hop over to the losers list here, folks. SPIR down 41. Let's see. Yeah, pretty flat. I mean, I guess trying to wiggle back up here right now. Maybe a little short covering, but not a whole lot happening on the order book. This one has a better order book. OMER, at least, down practically as much. It's hard to borrow. You can't short it, and I don't know. I mean, it's a Friday. I don't really feel the need to put this stock on our watch list. We have a pretty decent list for stocks that are trying to make some moves up for right now. So I don't know. If it ends up popping and moving up, then I would call it a missed opportunity. So, so be it. But see if there's anything looking better. You can't put every tradable stock out there on our watch list. So, that's a tradable stock, that OMER, but let's see what CEI is doing here. Yeah, the CEI trade, I mean, again, probably you would call it tradable. You would think not tradable based off trading 262 million shares across the whole day, but that's a lot less compared to what it was trading back from Wednesday this week. So, it's quote unquote tradable, but it's not really making any sort of opportunity or good move for us to capitalize on, right? All right, let's talk about Ride, another jerk of a stock today that ended up like going the complete other way and then some. So this Ride trade ended up being on the percent gainers list early this morning, and it was moving up relatively slowly heading into the market open. So I was pretty hopeful to see this be like a short squeeze, like right away, or at least shortly after the open, at least. Well, it ended up making a big move, but obviously, as you could see, ended up like sinking like a rock. I ended up trying to get a quick under and over entry from 8 or 790, I think I'd mentioned, or I think it was like 792. I didn't have my line up on my chart right now, but nonetheless, I took an instant loss, an instant 5-6 cent loss. I jumped in, set my stop, got stopped out in like 10 seconds. That's how you know what's going to happen to the stock later on. But I was too hesitant trying to pull the trigger for the short. I was just more focused on the BMRA trade after the hell. The BITF trade, the Bitfarm stock that I got tripped up on. So, I ended up missing the short trade on this, ended up completely going the other way. I mean, man, this was as one of the better trades across the whole day, really. For right now, though, I mean, it's pretty flat, not a whole lot happening here. Just given the move up from Thursday, I mean, up and then down, then obviously today completely dropping, just the range. This stock is pretty volatile in a good way, has really good liquidity. So if you're looking for a good sideless stock, keep a good eye on this Ride stock for next week. Really. DAT's sideless stock, at least over this week, it was breaking all-time highs early on and then pulled back. It's hard to borrow, can't short it, unfortunately. So. All right, folks, that just about does it for me. I mean, really, market's up, so I wasn't expecting for there to be a whole lot on the loser side. But if there's anything that you folks got from me up, down, left, right, more than 5%, let me know. Jeff says out on the BMRA trade. So let's take a look. All right, so I was watching this on my other screen, and I'll tell you, folks, what's going to happen on this trade. I'm currently in this position right now. I ended up getting filled early on during this meeting at 2:38 at $5.83. For right now, I'm just going to scale out half my position, just knowing that the stock is where it's at right now. I took my eyes off it for the last like 3 minutes. I had my stop set. So once it started to pop over 6, I kind of had a good feel that I was going to be set at least till the end of this meeting. I always tell you, I never like to hold a position while I'm doing this meeting, because at times it's worked out. At times I've had egg on my face. So, I told us in the trading room that I know where I was going to buy this stock. Patrick called it out. At first, at least, it was right off that 5.82 price. Ended up jumping right in. So I ended up just scaling out half my position, only in on 1,000 shares for this one. I was trading it on 2,000 earlier, but maybe I'll add more. We'll see. But yeah, for right now, the stock looking pretty good. Jeff says also in PED at 197. Real quick, Brian, I'm going to get to that in a moment. Just he was asking one more time for Bitcoin. I appreciate you asking. So definitely. Let's see. So PED ended up cracking 2, but on the false break, right? Actually, the second false break. So that's not as good. Be careful right now, unless if there's a bigger order on the S that's not showing here on the matrix, like above 2. But yeah, for right now, if it's not going to break higher, there's only one other way it's going to go temporarily, at least. So Jeff says out on the PED, I believe you said. Oh, no, out on BMRA. And on PED 197. All right, so let's hope for a quick slingshot at least here. What else we got, folks? Got a bagel on YouTube. That's no problem there. Not as many of us joining us on a Friday afternoon typically, so all good. From Leda. Woof, playing pop and drop games. Ooh, interesting squeeze here. Topped off at like 21.99, failed to break 22. Same to be said here, as I said on that last one. And I guess I'll slip it on for right now. If it ends up dumping back down, if the volume dies off in the stock, then it's just gonna be one that we'll write off quick. But we'll put this on the tail end of our list. All right, can you pop up that Bitcoin price target again from Brian? He was asking. Yeah, so I'll bring up that Twitter picture that I had. Do a little bit of erasing there. This guy is relatively popular in the crypto Twitter world. There's a bunch out there that know what they're doing. So always do your own research and diligence and all that. But yeah. If that's not what you were looking for, Brian, then let me know just once I finish up here, and then we'll be good to go. All right, folks, the BMRA trade's trying to go. The opening bell prints right off that 625 price, so I'd still be a little careful on that, meaning that when it breaks above 625, I'm not discounting a shake. So there's a good chance it will make a pop and drop from 625, but that's looking pretty good for right now. So I like this trade so far. For all of us on social media, I appreciate you sticking with me each and every day, each and every afternoon. And otherwise, enjoy your weekend. If you want to just send over a quick email if you have any questions on crypto, any questions on our callouts live inside our trading room, feel more than free to do so. My email address posted right there on the YouTube stream, josh@ctutrading.com. And, otherwise, if you're looking to join us live inside our trading room here, at least for the next hour or for next week, feel more than free to do so by going right down to the link on the banner below just to get yourself started. Brian said, wanted to screenshot it. Thank you. Perfect. Oh, no problem at all. Excellent. All right, folks, I'll talk to you all coming up right at like 3 o'clock. Give me maybe like to like 3:05. Relax the mouth here, I guess, for a little bit. I'll talk to you all soon. Take care.